From the time William A. Whitaker became the first recorded Sarasota settler in 1843, it was plain to see that this was a good place to call home. Today, people from all over the country and the world flock to Sarasota County for our beaches, our weather, and our quality of life. And that quality of life depends on the relationships we build to strengthen our community. Since the year 2000, volunteers, everyday people like you and I, have been working to connect our community through scope. By adding new voices to new conversations and helping foster a sense of ownership of the issues facing us, local residents look at possibilities for change and make those changes together. Chosen by the people who live here, scope topics have included family violence, redevelopment and infill, school dropout, mental health, affordable housing, and traffic flow and congestion. And from many of those, scope volunteers have produced documentaries to capture the stories and put a human face on the issues. There are stories of family violence.
I realize I don't feel pain at this point. All I know is panic, that I know that for the first time in my life, I'm going to die if I don't get out of here.
One night, he got bad, and he had his finger in my face screaming at me, you know, the psh. And I just stood there looking at him, kind of like, you know, I don't deserve this.
I remembered he had a gun. And when I fled, when I left, I took his gun, and that was the smartest thing I did, because I knew he would kill us.
It's been 30 years and I'm still having nightmares. The thought never goes away, you know, of what happened, you know, and I don't know how to get rid of it.
There are stories of our streets and neighborhoods that tell of our growing pains and learning to grow together.
We have to deal with the problem of the skipped over, deserted strip centers, of the abandoned office buildings, and see how we can bring them to useful purpose. And so if we can accomplish this, we'll reduce traffic congestion because we will reduce the pressure for new development farther away from the urban area. We'll control the environmental impacts of breaking new greenfield developments and increase the ad valorem tax base.
We have some charming areas in this neighborhood, and if it weren't for the traffic that is destructively traveling through those areas, they would be wonderful places to live. We need to stop destroying our existing communities for the benefit of new development.
By working with a developer when he comes into the community and he knows what the people want, instead of coming in and saying, I'm doing this and you've got no say. And yes, he has the right, he owns the property, but if he's a good developer and a good person, then they work with the community.
We need help, we need a roadmap, we need the people who have the expertise and the time to join in with the neighborhoods so that we can get to where we need to be.
More than 1 in 5 Americans has a diagnosable mental illness. Yet, as Scope learned, a social stigma remains.
My son had me Baker acted because I was suicidal. I was having bad thoughts, like nobody cared. It was a struggle for me to stay alive because I didn't want to live.
My family is really ashamed of me, and they don't want to talk about it. It's like the illness doesn't exist. And I've had times when I've been so upset and didn't know who to call, and have called a sister and have her hang up on me when I asked her for help.
I was not hospitalized mainly because I didn't want anybody to know. I was really afraid of the stigma of it. I didn't want my family to know, so I handled it by isolating myself.
Florida ranks in the lowest 10% of states for high school completion. And with the dropout rate affecting the quality of a community's workforce, Scope volunteers are working together to keep students in school.
Okay, I left public school because I was kind of getting kicked out anyway because I wasn't really going. I didn't feel like I wasn't really making any progress. It really wasn't important. Like, I understood the long run of getting the degree, but it felt as if I wasn't. It felt like nobody cared. I didn't really care. It was just a bad time in my life. So
I don't see nothing wrong with the schools, really. It's just that I don't like to be around a lot of people. That was my problem. See, it's like 120 or 40 people here. That's nothing compared to another school.
My grandfather, his name was Pops. He died about 2 years ago. And he was my biggest, father figure that I had because I didn't have a father. And he was my biggest father figure, and for 6 months I watched him die. He was the only person that ever influenced me in my life. I mean, he would have talked me out of it, he would have talked some sense into me, but he wasn't there. So there wasn't really somebody I could go to talk about except myself.
We are fortunate to have such committed residents, committed to our environment, committed to our health, and committed to strengthening the bonds that hold us together. Thanks to its supporters, Scope can continue to help connect community and start new conversations that matter.